when we started, we were we were just doing audio, and then from audio we sort of kind of moved, which somehow Donald doesn't like.
What, he doesn't like the camera?
Well, it's not even that, because we're using a studio up on the other side. Yeah. It's literally a smaller space with the same kind of amount of mics. I think it's got 3, but it's more kind of intimate. It's more smaller, but you can't really put cameras per se. So the space doesn't have any cameras and stuff, So yeah. So Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Say yes. Yes. You're aware of Trims and Talk, right? So Trims and Talk podcast is just, it's not like anything invasive or anything. It's just a conversation. And in this case, I think when I met you at Andrew and Kevin's, because that was the first time actually I had seen you.
Yeah.
Which is a little bizarre, yeah. To say that I know so many people. But that was the first time I met you, and I'm like, this kid is hilarious. This kid is hilarious. You know what I'm saying? And anyone who can actually kind of get Andrew to be quiet, to me, is awesome.
Yeah, he never shuts up.
Yeah, because Andrew and Kevin are my cousins, so we're family and stuff. So it was kind of interesting, kind of hearing the banter that you guys had.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
My first question, which we usually ask a lot of people, is like, who was your first barber? Can you remember your first barbering?
My first barber, my dad in the front room. Yeah, just skinhead. That's when I was a kid. Yeah, like we just used to always. My dad used to cut our hair, and then even our mum sometimes just literally like one all over. That was it. And then we started going to a barber actually in Page Hall, which is a Turkish barber. The first black barber that I had was Errol. I don't know if you know Errol.
Oh, Errol.
From Suave.
Oh, yeah.
So it was Errol, so he's like, my dad knew him for a bit, so I went there a few times, but not much. We might, when I was younger, here and there. But then, like I said, consistently, from me probably being 12, I think was the first time I went to Andrew and Kevin, and I've just been with them ever since now. Yeah.
Did you go on your own or your dad?
With my mum. My mum took me, my brother, and my best friend at the time down there. Yeah.
So, which part of Sheffield though did you grow up in?
So I grew up in Hackenthorpe, so like Burley. I went to Burley.
Okay, that's over like towards Crystal
Peaks.
Oh yeah.
So I grew up around there. Obviously, most of my family are from like Shirecliffe, Pittsmore, all those sides. But my mum was like, "You're not growing up around there," so I moved us out to the sticks, basically, like kind of on the outskirts of Sheffield. So yeah, growing up, like I remember I was telling this story to somebody else over there. Like there was probably like 4 black kids in the whole school, and like 3 of them were mixed race. I was one of them. You know what I mean? Like literally growing up in school, I think in primary school there was 1 other black girl, and then me and my younger brother, and that was pretty much it until probably like year 6. So when I was like 10, 11, and then that's when a guy called Ty Brooks moved to my school. He was an old mixed race kid. We then become good friends. Well, he introduced me through another friend of mine that moved to my school called Jake, who was actually a white guy. And then in secondary school, that was pretty much it. There weren't many. Like now in the area, there's a lot more black people, a lot more black kids. I've seen them around at the bus stop and stuff like that. But growing up, there was none really.
Which secondary school did you go to?
So I went to Burley. So called Big Burley or Burley Academy now. And then I moved to UTC OLP, which is at Don Valley.
Oh yeah, the other one.
Yeah. So I moved there for year 10 and year 11? Was it year 9, year 10, 11? Year 10, year 11, I think. So we were the first students in that school.
Oh, okay.
My year was the first students. There was only about maybe 200 students in the whole school, something like that, if that. When I first moved there. I know it's a lot bigger now. They've expanded, got more years and stuff, I think.
Oh, yeah. Because my son, my youngest, actually went to that school. So, what was it like for you at the?
Better, more diverse. Like there's like, for example, in Burley there was no Muslims, for example.
Yeah.
In there, it's like quite a lot of Muslim students. black students, like I said, Asian students, white students from all different backgrounds as well. We had, like, some students some of my close friends come from Derby, Worksop, and they used to get the training. Because it was even all different areas, you had, like, a lot of kids from privileged backgrounds as well that were athletes, because obviously it was a school for sports, health, and it was sciences, weren't it? So it's sports, health, and computer science were the main subjects. So you had people that were in sporting backgrounds that they were on scholarship. Some of them went on scholarships to America and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was diverse, and I definitely did better at that school compared to what I would have done at Burley.
Is it?
Yeah, like a lot of my friends at Burley now, I'm not gonna drag them down, but they just they're not the crowd that I would spend time around now. Do you know what I mean? Like because a lot of them are smart as well.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to their exams and stuff, they didn't do as well as they could have, because it would just become, they're messing about. Even now, the school's it's not great.
Yeah, because I did some work for what's the other school near High Stores on the other side, Silverdale. Yeah, I worked for Silverdale, and there was a school also part of that whole sort of like, I won't say academy, up Westfield. Yeah, I did some work at Westfield as part of the same trust, because the trust that Silverdale has is Westfield, Hope Valley, and Mayland Bridge. It's a primary school, so I understand, the dynamics over Crystal Peaks. I mean, in terms of, like at some point, I know there was a school that, the current Westfield used to be in a different place, and I think it was run down. So they built a new one, which was kind of cool. But so that whole Valley area, I've never really understood, like sort of like the demographic in terms of the makeup of the people around that area, whether it's just more white people than there's black people.
It's very like, people will take the make out of my accent, but it's very Yorkshire around there as well. Yeah. Like, so now it's a lot more diverse. Like, my young brother goes to Burley, and he's got like a few mixed race kids, and they're more in touch with different cultures and all that kind of stuff. But again, the school's gone downhill. When I first when I went to Big Burley, the Ofsted was like outstanding.
Oh, okay.
Then by the time I left, I think it was needs improvement. So the school went down a lot, which I think is why it was good for me to move to UTC, because the teachers that I got there and just the people that I was connecting with, taught me a lot. But yeah, in terms of like the Burley area now, I don't know, it's not great. It's all right. It's all right. It's better. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not great.
but I think every area kind of changes. Like given time. I mean, like all places in Sheffield. I mean, if you were to ask their sort of like their beginnings, they'll probably tell you. Because I know. I mean, some people say Peacemore Bengrave Road used to be like a very affluent part of Sheffield at some point, but then down the line it just went downhill. Because when you go around what do you call it, where Abbeyfield Park is, when you go around that area there, the houses are big and they're very stately and they look beautiful. Like I think every place has potential to be good. So you moved to UTC. Why? Because why did you move to UTC? Was it because of your interest in sport, or what was it? Yeah,
primarily that. And I think, I don't know what it was. Something inside me just didn't feel like being at Bill was going to get me where I want to be.
Is it?
There's just the environment, the people that I was around, like I don't know, something about it just I didn't really gel with anyone around there.
Okay.
A lot of my friends just kind of want to go partying and drinking and just having and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, I'm not into any of that stuff. I just go home and I just sit and watch YouTube studying and all this kind of stuff. And then a couple of my friends found out about that school. I didn't even know about it. They told me about it and they said, like, we're going to move to this school. So then I looked into it, liked it. Obviously, I could focus on sport. So you get to do like sports science qualification early, or then doing it at college. So you do like the level 2 diploma and then you go to college and do that. I actually ended up dropping out of college, so I never finished that. But we'll get onto that later. So yeah, but I think the big thing for me at UTC was what I was exposed to in terms of like other students there, athletes, and they were getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go train at 5 o'clock in the morning. Also then the opportunities that the school provided in terms of like, there was one teacher who I remember the most out of anyone, called Mr. Rawson. And he was like my first, I suppose, role model in terms of being entrepreneurial.
Yes.
So he was telling me about how he bought his mum's house for 100 grand and then a few years later sold it for 400 grand and then bought 3 more houses on the street. And that was my first kind of like, yo, there's like money out there. Like I didn't know people were actually doing this because growing up, like in my family, I don't know anyone that's done that. Like maybe now I more so, but I didn't know anyone that was doing that kind of stuff. It was always just go to school, get a job, or go to university, go through that, get a job, and then you have a pension and you just work all your life. And then the other option was for me was I was either going to do that or I was going to be a boxer. So I was either going to be a personal trainer and I was going to coach athletes, be a strength and conditioning coach for other athletes. That was kind of the route that I was going to go down, get the sports science degree and go down that route, or be a boxer. That was kind of the 2 routes. And then from going to UTC and then going to college, I then got to college basically, and as arrogant as it sounds, I was like, I don't need to be here, like because I'd already done. Whilst all my friends were out partying and drinking, doing all this kind of stuff, I was at home researching the subjects that I enjoyed.
Oh, okay.
So by the time I got to college, I already knew everything. And like one of my friends once said to me once, he was like, "You're never here, but you're getting better grades than all of us. How are you doing that?" Because I just used to, I got to a point in college where I just rock up when I felt like it. Like it were, let's say we started at 9 and we finished at 1 and I'd rock up at 12. just because I just thought I don't need to be here, like it's a waste of my time. And but I was still getting all distinction stars on my grades.
Oh, okay.
So then my friends were like, "How are you doing that?" I just thought, you know what, me being here is pointless because all I'm doing is proving to someone else what I already know, and that I don't need to do that. So I thought, forget that. I'm going to drop out. If I want to go back into education later on in life, I can always do that.
Well, that's true. That's
so
true, yeah.
Dropped out, got a job at Carphone Warehouse working in sales, so selling phone contracts and stuff. That was probably 6 months before lockdown happened.
Oh, yes.
So then lockdown happened and I got made redundant at 17, which was just like, no one's ever done that. That can then force me into, I said, you know what? Because I got quite a decent payout. It was like 4 or 5 grand from Carphone Warehouse from different schemes that they had. They had quite good incentives working there, to be honest. And I used that money then to pay for a personal training qualification. Did that, got driving lessons, all that kind of stuff. And then I started working as a personal trainer. And then how I got into like what I'm doing now, which is like the online fitness stuff, and kind of being entrepreneurial was my mum actually met a woman at work who was buying a table or a bench, I can't remember, for a gym that she'd opened on Ecky Road. It was called Box Bar. It was like a new bougie boxing gym. It's closed now.
Oh, okay. Because there's now
that U-Box.
U-Box, yeah.
So the Box Bar was in there before. But Box Bar, it weren't a success, basically. Various different reasons why. So my mum met the lady who's owned Box Bar, said, "I'm opening this boxing gym, I need trainers, this kind of stuff." And mum suggested, "Oh, my son's a boxing coach." Yeah. So that kind of happened. Went there, spoke to the lady. Left not knowing if I got the job or not. We kind of just spoke, and then she's sending me all this kind of stuff to do. So I just assumed like, okay, I guess she gave me the job. Then started working there. Met a guy there called Leon. He was doing the online fitness stuff, and at first he was telling me about this mentorship.
Oh, Leon, short Leon
Squire worked at Virgin for.
From Nottingham.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I knew Leon.
Yeah, so become friends with him. Obviously, we was 2 of the trainers there. There's other guys there as well, and talking about this online stuff. At first I said, I was like some pyramid scheme, like what's this like? Do you know what I mean? Like some online, like how people paying you to do some online fitness, like never heard of that. Because especially around that, like now it's more popular, like online fitness and all that. But then like just after lockdown, it only just become like a thing really. That's you know what I mean? So then I said, I'm not doing that. Sounds like some pyramid scheme. And then about 6 months later, I ended up leaving Box Bar, fell out with the managers, the owners and stuff, basically. ended up leaving, but then I ended up going back because the manager left and the owner asked me to come back.
Okay.
So then come back, spoke to Leon, had a chat with him. So how's the online stuff going? He said, like, I'm making like good money from it. So I said, show me basically.
Yeah.
Show him, introduced to his mentor, spoke to the mentor, and the mentor basically does like a 2-call close. So you speak with him, he pre-qualifies you, and then you speak to his sales guy. I just said to him, I don't need to speak to the sales guy. Sign me up, like, just take my money. And then, funnily enough, I had £450 and 75 pence in my bank account.
Yeah.
The mentorship was £450 a month. So I paid for it, not even knowing if I can pay for the next month. Because at this point, I've left Box Bar again.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, other than my little PT clients I've got on the side, I'm not working basically.
Yeah.
So I just invested. I said, you know what, I'm going to take the plunge, leap of faith, and then managed to sign up like a few clients in the first couple of weeks. So I knew I could pay the next month, and then it just kind of took from there. That was kind of the start of my entrepreneurial journey and creating the content and all this kind of stuff that I'm doing now.
So what's it been like for you? I mean, like, because, like sometimes we usually, especially, you are the first person who I heard say, I am an influencer. Actually, when you were up at Fates, and I'm like, what does it really mean? I mean, we know. I mean, like, we usually but usually you always assume that influencers are these people who've got it all together and stuff. What's that journey been like for you, being so exposed and being young also?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm an influencer. I suppose in some respects I am. I consider myself more of just, I don't know, I create content.
Yeah.
I monetize it, build business off the back of it, all that kind of stuff. I think it's like anything where you have to almost not be afraid to embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think with anything, if you want to get anywhere in life, whether it's in a sport, whether it's in business, whether it's with content, whether it's in a relationship, you've got to be vulnerable. And that's like a big part. Like you'll see some of my content is more funny and it's just, I'm just taking the mick. Then others, it's more deep and it's about my personal story and telling that story. And it's important to do that because then people relate to you. And that's how you build relationships with people. Yeah. And if you don't get vulnerable, you'll only get so far and people can smell the bullshit as well. Like if you're not telling the truth and you're trying to make out like everything's perfect, like they can see straight through that.
That's right.
So I think it's important just to have that confidence to get vulnerable, tell your story, and everyone has a different level of what they want to take that to. Me, I'm open book. Like you can ask me anything, and I just think because I think that will only get you further. The more you hold back, the more it's going to hold you back. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I think just tell your story. People relate to it. And what I've realized is I think a lot of people are afraid to get vulnerable and embarrass themselves and tell things that, they don't want people to know. But everybody goes through it. That's true. Everybody has shit in their life that they go through. Right. And we're all trying to hide it and all this kind of stuff. But I think if you don't hide it and you just like, no one can. It's a bit like in 8 Mile or whatever it is when Eminem and he takes the mick out of himself first.
Yeah.
Like if you do that to yourself first, nobody else can do it to you. And now it's like you can be confident, just be yourself in whatever space you are. Like no matter what space I'm in, I don't speak differently, I don't act differently. Like I am just me. And if you don't like me, then that's fine. Like no problem. But I'm just gonna be me wherever I am.
So I mean, like, what were the expectations from your parents? I mean, like, I know one of your parents is black and the other one is white.
No. That's
both are there.
So both of them are mixed race.
Oh, they're both mixed race?
Yeah.
No, that figures.
Yeah.
That figures.
So they're both half black, half white, both half Jamaican. So like, for example, I've got 2 younger brothers.
Yeah.
The middle brother, Aaron, he's 21. He's like probably similar skin tone to you, maybe a bit lighter than you. And then the youngest one is like my colour, a little bit darker. But we've all got different hair textures, different skin tones, different, like we all look different.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, you know what? You know what? When I was at school, I had a guy come from the States. He was the English teacher. And he comes from the States on his way to South Africa. Biggest Afro I've ever seen. and pay like anything. And one of the things that I remember this very, very distinctly. He says, when I'm in the States, they class me as black, but you guys class me as white, which is very strange. You see what I'm saying? So, because you present as like, like when somebody sees it first, like, oh yeah, that's a white guy. Why is his hair, look like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so at home, your parents, what kind of food do you have?
It's like
What do your parents cook?
like obviously I grew up so I suppose I was quite lucky in this regard in terms of I've grown up with all of my great grandparents.
Yes.
I'm fourth generation in the UK, so I've had my great grandparents, my grandparents, my parents, and then me. And I'm not
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm not really that close to my white side. Like I haven't been raised by my white side. Like I have white family members, but probably less than 10 that I really speak to. Whereas I think we did the numbers. I've got something like 180 family members in like Sheffield alone on my black side. So like I've got a huge like family.
That's a big family.
Like my big nanan on my dad's side, I think she had something like 16 siblings, which all had 10 kids, which all had 5 kids, which all had... And then obviously my mum's grandma had... how many kids did she have? 7 or 8, 9, a lot. And then the same on my dad's side as well. They had like 9, there's like, I don't know, 9, 10, whatever. So like massive family.
That is a massive family.
Yeah. So like very much, Jamaican, like through and through. Growing up, like it was always Jamaican food. So yeah, that's pretty much like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, why I mentioned that is because like one of the things that I've discovered, like being around Sheffield, being around the black community in Sheffield is our unwillingness to sort of, kind of be open, especially when it comes to sort of like our well-being, mental health and all that kind of stuff. Because you speak openly about your neurodiversity, ADHD and stuff.
Which is not actually been diagnosed, by the way, but pretty like all my family, we're all the same. And some of them have been diagnosed, some haven't.
Yeah.
But pretty sure we've all got ADHD. But you know what's funny? I was speaking to Dave about this.
Yeah.
And
which
like
Dave?
Dave Campbell.
Oh,
so,
which
Dave? Not
Campbell?
Dr. Dave Campbell.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So businessman Dave Campbell.
Yeah, businessman.
Yeah. So and it's funny, we always sit down, we have these meetings, we meet all these different people.
mean the Friday meetings or
No, just in general. Like we meet up, we just meet all different people, discussing different projects and all this kind of stuff. And it's funny how, and even online now, it's becoming more and more kind of popular, I won't say popular, but well known.
Yeah.
That most entrepreneurs have got ADHD. So if you're entrepreneurial or whatever, like most have got ADHD. And I noticed in my family, like most of us have got ADHD. Yeah. I always mess around, joke about and say the black and white blood don't mix, so I've all got ADHD. So I always mess around and say that because all my family is pretty much mixed race now. Like from like if they're 30 or younger, most of them mixed race now.
Yeah.
So I always joke around and say that. But obviously, it's not that. It's someone else.
But they usually say like one or both of the parents will probably kind of have the, sort of like some ADHD. Because the older generation of us, we knew something was happening, but we didn't really, divulge that information. But your generation is very open in terms of what they are dealing with, which sometimes I find very refreshing, because it means then, like you're rightly saying, like the 8 Mile thing. When you are able to own what it is that you're going through, then it makes kind of life a little bit easier. Nobody can weaponize what it is that you are dealing with. Because that's what people usually do. They'll say, oh, yeah, so-and-so is this. And especially in the black community, they put downs in the black community, like sounds next level, So who encourages you within your family pertaining to the journey that you've decided to take? Because, the black community, we're like school, university, and,
I think my parents are supportive.
Yeah.
Like they're always supportive. Everyone in my family is supportive. Obviously, there's certain conversations that you try and have. It's funny, like I said, again, I was speaking to Dave about this kind of stuff. And there is a lot of, and this isn't even just my family or Dave's family or our friends or whatever. I think it's just a general thing in Sheffield as a whole, actually. Like, quite small-minded here in terms of being entrepreneurial, and like it very much is go to work, get a job. We don't do them kind of things like that. Rich people are bad. Like it's that kind of like view. And even though there's a lot of entrepreneurial people, and what I see amongst my peers is the entrepreneurs end up leaving Sheffield because there's not opportunities here to support them. And that's something that I'm working on at the minute, actually, a project that I'm working on. But going back to my family, they've been supportive. Obviously, there's times where they'll cuss me, or, why you not dropped out of college, or you better get a job, this and that, whatever. But they're supportive. They might still have a go, but they'll still support me either way.
Yeah. You're the eldest one?
I'm the eldest. So yeah.
So the expectations are...
Yeah. Suppose, but they're also, my parents believe in me as well. Like I can sense that. So even though sometimes they might doubt certain things that I say or that I do, or they're skeptical.
Yeah.
And I don't, they sometimes think that I'm like having a go at them when I'm like trying to say things, but I understand that it's just because they've grown up in it with different expectations and different education, so they don't necessarily understand the world that I'm living in. Even though they might try and think that they do, they don't really understand the world that I'm living in. And how a 12-year-old can make £1 million on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different world that we're living in now. So, but they also recognise that as well. So yeah, they've been pretty supportive. Like my boxing, they're always supportive. Again, they don't necessarily like me doing that.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's exactly what I was gonna go into, because I remember watching a video. Basically, it's like I just liked how so casual you were about. Says, I went to weigh in and somehow I was just. I went home to sleep. Yeah. They called you early. They came back and you knocked this guy out.
Yeah.
For you, it's like, because I did martial arts when I was coming up back in the day, but it's like, it was a big deal. But for you, it's like,
no, it's a big deal. But like I've done it. I've had 10 fights now.
Yeah,
and I think it's also. Interesting enough, I'm going to record a video on this today, but when you put in the work outside of the ring, getting in the ring, it's just like, it's another day. It's kind of like another day in the office. You know what I mean? Like, I've done it 1,000 times. Like, there's nobody that I'm going to get in with who probably haven't experienced something like that before. So it's kind of just like, it becomes normal at this point. And also the other thing is, what else am I going to do? Like, I can't, I'm there now, I've signed up for the fight, I'm there, I'm waiting, like, I can't, what I'm going to do? Say, no, I don't want to get in.
Like, kind of turn back and bail.
Yeah, exactly. and again, kind of the point to that video was, on the times that I've felt the best, I've usually performed my worst.
Yes.
The times that I felt my worst, I've performed my best. So that I've knocked 2 people out this season. I've had 4 fights this season, knocked 2 of them out. Both of those days, I felt tired. One of them, I couldn't eat until like 6 o'clock because the weigh-in was at 6 o'clock in the evening, and I had to make weight. So I was tired, drained of food, all this kind of stuff. Got in, knocked the guy out, like one of my best performances ever. But again, same thing that day. Didn't want to fight that day. Like in my head, I'm thinking I do not want to get in the ring today. But I'm there now. Like I can't back out. And again, just goes down to the mindset thing of like, if you never push yourself, you never test your limits, you're never going to discover what you can really achieve. So like, it's like, okay, I can say I don't feel like fighting today, so I won't fight. But I never would have discovered, actually, that day I would have got in and knocked somebody out and would have been my best performance and all this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I just think no matter what, just do it. You know what I mean?
So what motivates you, though?
Interesting question. I think... I was having a conversation with my mum yesterday, and she seems to think that it's money. It's like, it just wants to make money. You always talk about money. And it's not that. I think, do you know what? I would be happy to live back in Jamaica on a farm and not make any money and just feed myself and have a roof over my head. And what, like, honestly, like, I'm such a simple person, but I understand that I'm born in a country where money makes the world go around. Like you can't, and in this country, in the West or whatever, in most countries now anyways, even back in Jamaica, like if you haven't got money, you're going to be struggling. And I think,
That's it.
and so I think,
That's it.
for me, what motivates me is two things, kind of that link into one, but freedom.
Freedom.
So it's freedom, being able to. My first experience of that as well was lockdown. Everyone got like depressed and like hated lockdown. I love lockdown. I'm like, I can do what I want when I want. Like I was training it like in the middle of the day, topless in my garden, like just having a great time. My mum was cooking food every day, big like Saturday soup and curry chicken, all these kind of things every day. I was loving life. And when I discovered that, then it was like, okay, now the restrictions are lifted and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, gotta go back to work. Like, and I thought, but I can create that for myself.
That's it.
By, you know, going down the entrepreneurial route, starting a business, and then eventually, you know, whatever, selling it or whatever I'm going to do later on. But that all comes from, you have to get to a certain level of your finances to be able to do that kind of stuff. But then, so it's freedom for me, for the people around me. But then also, I love helping people. Like, I love seeing potential in somebody and then helping them unlock that potential and you know, getting them to the next level. So providing opportunities for people. So that was a big thing for me when I started boxing, actually. Like, my first role model in boxing was Anthony Joshua. Like, he like blew up at the time. I think I must have been 14, 15 at the time I got into boxing. I was 15 when I started, but I got into it about a year before.
Yeah.
And I think AJ was fighting Dillian White around the time. So it was like a big British like standoff. And I saw what AJ was like, and he was quite humble, and, you know, he was doing all these things for other fighters and being a role model. Obviously, all the girls loved him at the time, which obviously I wanted to like, So I wanted to be like that as well. But it's really like, I suppose what I'm trying to do with myself is I'm trying to be a role model that can provide opportunities to people, because like I see with me and with my family and my cousins and all these kind of friends or whatever that come from the background that we come from, there isn't, unless you know somebody who knows somebody, you get lucky in that kind of respect. It's hard, like, to get ahead in life. It's hard, and the opportunities aren't out there, and it's not even, I don't even think marketed, especially in Sheffield. It's a bit different in like London, especially now. It's very different. Like there's a lot of young black entrepreneurs. There's avenues to go down. Whereas in Sheffield, it's very like we're still behind. We're still like stuck in the 80s.
Oh no, that's true. That's very true. My son is a music producer, and he has to travel to London on regularly, sometimes either for shows or for recording and stuff. I think Sheffield, back in the day when I first came to Sheffield in the 90s, there was at least a semblance of a structure in terms of kind of the whole creative scape. Business wasn't really a thing. I mean, we worked for ourselves. I know personally I work for myself, but it was never really like one of those things where you knew like you had a network of people who did the same thing. Because I know you guys, because one of the first videos that I saw was like your guys like having breakfast, you know, with the guys. I'm thinking, how come I wasn't invited to this thing? You know what I'm saying? How important is it like to have that kind of setup? Because you guys meet like the first Friday of the month? Fades, that thing. How important is it, you know, to kind of have that support system?
Yeah, I think you know what? I didn't realize how important it was until probably the last 6 months. Before that, I was very much like a lone wolf. Like, come out of lockdown. Wasn't really close with any of my friends really after lockdown and stuff, because obviously just naturally they've gone off, done whatever they're doing. You know, some of them moved countries, university in different cities. My best friend was in the army at the time. He's not anymore. We're close again now. And so it's kind of like I'm just doing everything by myself. And there was, other than the people, I invested a lot into, like I said, into mentorship. So in my first like 2-3 years of starting my business, I probably spent 20-30 grand on like mentorships just to connect with people, learn from different people, which again, luckily I was in a position where I could do that. Like I dropped out of school, which means I was earning money to be able to do that kind of stuff. If you're staying university till 22, 20, whatever it is, you're not going to have the finances to do that kind of stuff. So you're starting so much later than everybody else in terms of being like entrepreneurial. And like I said, then where does your network come from as well? So, but yeah, I think it's very important. Like I said, the last 6 months I've probably put more effort into my network than anything else. And every single day, if not every other day, a new opportunity arises because of it, just because of the people you know. You know, oh, well, I know Ayden does this thing. I've got this guy, Sam needs whatever, Ayden can help him with that. And then through Sam, you meet John, and John meets, it's just whatever it is. And whereas if you don't build that network, you don't have that. So I think it's crucial. Again, there's something that I'm working on at the minute to connect people. I know there's a few different projects going on around the city as well now, especially in our community, which I think is super important. Because like I said, if you don't know people, you don't know about opportunities, and getting investment and mentorship, and which you need, because where else are you going to get that from?
That's true. Because I know, people, we have had both Daves here, Dr. Dave Campbell and Dave Campbell, here on the podcast, and it's sometimes, when you sit back and listen to the guys talk about their own journey, you suddenly realize, I ain't doing much.
Yeah.
In my case, let me tell you, because I spend a lot of time, kind of listening to people talk about their own process of doing stuff. And as somebody who has run his own business and stuff, you suddenly realize every time you're learning that there are ways to do stuff that can make sort of like kind of your brand, a little bit, more efficient and stuff. But in my case, I think, like you're talking about, kind of being in Jamaica, probably kind of having in a farm and stuff. I've always dreamt of having a farm. Problem is, that whole thing of actually, I think it'll probably be one rundown farm, and I'm tired with it, because I wouldn't do jack, I think it's that whole thing of staying motivated. How do you stay motivated?
How do I say it? Again, I think right now it's because I haven't achieved, I would say, any of the things I want to achieve. So I'm like, although people might look at me and think, oh, Ayden, he's doing all these things, but it's like, so what? Like, I'm nowhere near the goal. Like, this is like nowhere near the goal, and like I'm far, far, far from it. When I'm 30 or 40 or 50, maybe that, I don't know, or maybe I have a different answer for you, but right about now it's because there's so much to do. And it's funny, Dave kind of asked me a similar question when I was speaking to him the other day. He says, I was speaking, basically, one of the projects I'm working on at the minute is to build like an incubator and accelerator for ambitious young people and entrepreneurs, right? And it's in the kind of the form of a content studio, so like kind of this kind of stuff. And market to people, because like, if you never messaged me, I would never have known about like doing this, for example. And so I think marketing is very important, and the marketing in Sheffield isn't really, everything's kind of like underground, like kept quite low key. It's kind of like, unless you know somebody,
very cliquey.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Whereas you'll hear about something in London before you hear about something in Sheffield, but you're living in Sheffield.
That's true. Very, very true.
And so that's kind of what I'm looking to change. And Dave, basically, this project is probably going to cost £1 million to set up. And Dave's like, what's a 23-year-old kid who's probably never seen 50 grand in his bank looking at £1 million projects? Like, where do you get, where does the motivation come from to do something like that? And the answer, I went home and I thought about it, and the answer is, well, nobody else is doing it, so I'm not going to sit around and wait for them to do it. And that is literally as simple as that. It's like, if you can't, and I think that's the problem with a lot of people, not necessarily a problem, but a lot of people just wait around for somebody else to come and save them.
That's true.
And it's like, nobody's come to save you. Like, nobody owes you anything. You're not entitled to nothing. You have to literally go out there and fight for every last thing you want. And if if you don't do that, you're not gonna get anywhere. And then people look at people that do fight for it and they make it and they say, oh, they got lucky, or this and that. And it's like, no, they just stayed consistent through thick and thin and continued fighting, and that's why they got lucky. Like, you get lucky by being in the right place at the right time because you put yourself in those places at that time. Whereas most people would rather go home and sit and watch TV. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like I said, no one else is going to do it. So if so, I'd love for someone else to do it as well. Like I would love for someone else to do all this hard work and spend their money and spend their time and all the stress and the pressure and the sleepless nights and the anxiety. I'd love for someone else to do it, and I can just sit back and enjoy it.
And just enjoy it.
But they're not doing it, so somebody's got to.
No, that's true. That's true. But do you see yourself kind of sticking to Sheffield? I mean, like, as the potential space to house this thing?
It starts with Sheffield, because like I said, for me, Manchester's on the rise. You know, and you look at the statistics, like 20 years ago, Sheffield was like the fourth biggest urban area or whatever. Now it's like the 11th. In terms of the city, it's still something like the sixth biggest city.
Yes.
So Manchester City, it's not just, it's Greater Manchester and you've got Greater London, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, there's 3 million people living in Manchester now. There's 10 million people living in London now. Sheffield from 2003 or whatever it was to now has only grown by like 300,000 people. Like the growth is so slow here. And like in terms of like the entrepreneurs, like, and as well, I sit and I think, who are the role models in Sheffield? When you talk about like celebrities or the influencers and big role models that are making moves and bringing people on and all that kind of stuff, where are they in Sheffield? Like we don't really have anyone like that.
No, we don't.
You know, they're all in London, Manchester, Birmingham has some, maybe Leeds, but primarily London and Manchester, obviously. But other cities even still have more opportunities than we do. And I think it's important that, but what's happening is, as I said before, the people that make it are then moving to Manchester or London because Sheffield isn't supporting them.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of jealousy as well around like just the culture. I mean, this is a thing in black culture that we already know anyway. Like but Sheffield has it even in amongst the white people, amongst the Asian people, amongst the black people. Like they don't necessarily want to see someone else do better than them because it's like they haven't grown up with the mindset that it's possible for them. So when they see somebody else doing it, it's like, how come they can do it, but they're not? And so that's something that I want to help change because I think everybody, even if they don't think they can do something, that's why I called my fitness business Ambitious Results. Yeah. Because it's what I was noticing I was getting on calls with guys and they're saying, I want to, for example, let's say they just want to, they're feeling overweight, they just want to have a flat stomach. And I'm saying to them, well, the difference between getting a flat stomach and ripped abs is doing the same thing consistently for like maybe another few weeks after you get flat stomach. So it's like, why are you not being ambitious to push for the abs, but you just want the flat stomach? And it's kind of like, in their head, they don't think it's possible. Yes. But I'm like, even if you don't think it's possible, you haven't even tried. And I put a tweet out the other day and I said, we'll tell ourselves we can't do things before we've even tried, and that's true failure.
Oh, no, that's true. I mean, hey, I'm in that position, man. But no, I man it. This is the thing. I've been training probably way before you were born. I mean, I grew up training. I mean, that's it. Martial arts, weightlifting, all that kind of stuff. But it's like you get to a certain age where the body says like, we ain't doing this anymore. I mean, hey, it literally is like that whole thing about being motivated enough to saying I'm going to get up and do stuff. I think there has to be a certain level of stubbornness to say I'm going to get up. I don't feel like doing this thing, but I'm going to do it. But then, again, the slowness of, because young people their body still kind of performs at optimal level for some, you know, in terms of like, if you put the effort and stuff, your body will respond and then you see the changes. But then with us, it's like when you hit your 50s and stuff, there are certain, I think there are, I'll say probably, not everyone, but for some, it's like you have to work like 3, 4 times, 5 times as hard. But you don't have it in you to actually even do that.
Yeah, it's funny, we have this conversation in the barbershop all the time. And I disagree. There's different studies out there. Some say like your metabolism slows down by 1% every year after a certain age. Some say it doesn't even slow down until you're 60. Oh. So there's all different things out there. The main thing, I think what people don't realize is over time, obviously there's a lot of wear and tear, one. Yes. Also, if you've, like, for example, if you let yourself get out of shape for 6 months, let's say, you might be consistently training, whatever, but maybe work gets super busy. You know, your diet's rubbish, maybe you're traveling a lot or you're eating out a lot, that kind of stuff, and let yourself get out of shape, it's a lot harder to get back in shape than it is to maintain it. Yes. One, you know, you have to do maybe like 30% of what you did to get in shape to maintain it. So if you're going to the gym 3 days a week, you have to go to the gym 1 day a week to maintain that same level of progress. But it's almost like you're in a deficit now. Yeah. So you've got to get back to neutral before you can get progress forward. Do you know what I mean? And so, but also, you mentioned like having to work harder. It's not necessarily having to work harder. You just have to work smarter. Like your body changes over the years, or your maintenance levels changes, or you know, you get an injury and so you can't do that exercise anymore. You got to do like, it's just about change. It's never really that you got to do more or you got to work harder. It's just you've got to adapt and change, which a lot of people, they try to train or they try to eat the same way they are in the 50s and 60s that they did when they were 20. And it's like, you've got different, like your body has changed. And so you're going to have to adapt. Most people are stubborn and they just, this used to work 20 years ago. Why is it not working now? It's like, well, your body's changed. You're older. You got wear and tear. You got different injuries. Like you're not the same weight anymore. Like there's all these different things that have changed that you're not even taking into consideration. It's like you just think I'll just go to the gym and blast my body and try and eat clean, but it's not like. And it's the same with anything in whether it's in business, whether it's in with your body, with your health and fitness, whether it's in your relationship. Like everything changes over the years. Like you probably don't have the same relationship with your wife in the first year that you're doing, 30 years down the line. Like you have to adapt, you know what I mean? And it's the same with like in business. When you're first starting out, you're going to have a whole heap of problems, but in 20 years time, you're still going to have a whole heap of problems. They're just different problems. It's kind of the same thing with your health and fitness.
So how then do you, I mean, in your case, I mean, because like I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. Do you constantly have to research or is like lived experience? We talk about lived experience nowadays about, what keeps you so knowledgeable about this, the what you are doing?
Mm-hmm. I think it's both, like obviously working with clients. And I think talking to people is a big one because if you're not talking to people, you don't understand the problems that people are facing. So what I'll do is I'll speak to a lot of people, like whether it's clients, whether it's prospects, whether it's just friends, family members, people I meet in the street, in the gym, wherever it is, whether it's business, whether it's fitness, whatever it is. And then they have a problem. I love to solve problems. Like naturally, I like a lot of people love to bring, and again, we speak about Dave this all the time. I always mentioning Dave.
Oh yeah, Dave is awesome, man.
Yeah, we're always chatting. But he always says, people love to bring in problems, but they rarely like to bring them solutions. I love to solve people's problems. So even if I have no knowledge in that area, I'll right, they've got a problem. How can I help them? How can I solve it? I'll go in, I'll research how I can solve that problem for them. So same like with health and fitness, with business, whatever it is, I'll have a conversation with somebody. They'll highlight a problem to me. If I don't already have the answer through lived experience, then I'll go in, I'll find the answer. And then you just learn over time. Obviously, the older you get, the wiser you get. And I think a lot of people say that I'm like wise beyond my years and all these kind of things.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like an old soul.
Yeah. And I think the reason for that is because I don't run away from problems. Okay. Like any problem, I love to run towards problems, chaos. Like I love that because I just think the sooner I get through that and I learn how to solve that, it's no longer a problem. And so then, it creates then clear waters to sail and travel, whatever it is that you want to do. So I think that's the main thing. A lot of people, they kind of just stay in their bubble and they hide from the problems and they try and, whereas I'm very much open to like, bring me all the problems. I love problems because then I'm just going to learn and you get beat down, but then you get open, you're better next time, kind of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger and all that kind of stuff. Like, but a lot of people don't approach life like that. And I think I learned that through boxing. I think that's what, how would I say it? I think that's what crafted my mindset to be like that. Because it's like, I lost my first ever boxing match. And I could have easily said, that's it for me, forget that, like, get out. But I lost my first ever boxing match, but I also got rewarded the Boxer of the Night trophy. So I lost, but basically there's a away Boxer of the Night trophy. So I lost, but they said, but you were the best boxer from any of the away gyms, even though you lost. So that kind of in my mind, I'm like, well, I was better than all them guys, but even though I lost. So clearly losing or winning, it's not everything.
No, it's not.
So you learn a lot more from, like, obviously we all know this, but you learn a lot more from losing and failing than you do from winning. There's another quote. What do I say? It's better to know how you lost than not know how you won.
Oh, yes. It's better to know how you lost
than not know how you won. Because if you don't know how you won, you can't repeat the process.
No, you can't.
But if you know how you lost, at least you know how to improve for next time.
That's it.
And then eventually you find out the winning formula.
That's it.
So that's kind of how I approach life. I just think, all right, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to try. I might fail. At least I know then not to try in the same way again.
Yeah.
But most people don't even want to, they're scared to even try because they don't want to fail or look embarrassed or waste their time, waste their money, whatever it may be. Whereas I just think, I came here with nothing. I'm going to leave with nothing. What have I got to lose? Do you know what I mean?
But well, you have a lot going for you, man. You definitely have a lot going for you, and so you asked me a question, earlier. You said, so what's a typical day for you?
Mm-hmm. Like a kind of same answer that you gave me was like, there is no, I'll always train. So whether I train in the morning or train in the evening, sometimes I'll train twice a day.
Yeah.
So I'll have like box in the evening, lift weights or do running in the evening. Or I've started playing basketball now with Andrew and Kevin and that, so we play that sometimes. On a Saturday, we've got the 6+1 run group, so I'll do that.
Oh yeah, you're part of that too?
Yeah, we'll go down there. It's good fun, lots of good people down there. Everyone's supportive as well, beginners, you've got advanced athletes, and it's good, get out in the sun, run. We always go get some food or go to a coffee shop or whatever afterwards, and we'll just sit and chat. It's good. I met a lot of good people down there as well, that it's good to be around like-minded people like that. Like if you want to be around kind of ambitious people and people that are looking after themselves, that want to, everyone down there wants to develop themselves and learn and become better. And it's good to be around people like that rather than people that are just kind of, again, stuck in their bubble, don't want to change, that kind of stuff. So that's why I like going down there. But yeah, like typical day, my ideal day, I'll say, is I'll wake up, train first thing, because I think I'm the most important person in my life. We all are. If you don't look after yourself, you can't look after anybody else.
No.
So one thing I always say to my clients is, if you can, it's not always possible, but if you can, make the first thing you do for you. So you don't wake up and start work straight away, or you don't wake up and tend to anybody else's problems straight away. Wake up, tend to your problems, whether it's sorting your food out, sorting your training out, whatever it is, organise your schedule, get you sorted first, look after your health first thing in the day, so then you don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. So you can, if you wake up, like I look at it, if I wake up on a train first thing and then end up working till 3 o'clock in the morning, that's fine, because at least I've got it out of the way in the, whereas
that's it.
Once I get wrapped up in work, we're all like this, once we get wrapped up in work, we'll be at our laptops or whatever until like midnight and then fall asleep, and we've not eaten, we've not trained, all this kind of stuff. So I was trying to start the day of doing something for me first, then basically just get straight into work, whether it's meetings, creating content. Like I said, I might train again, doing like marketing stuff. That's pretty much it. A lot of the time I'm on my phone or I'm in meetings with people, networking and all that kind of stuff.
So who or what keeps you grounded?
I think, interesting. I think partly coming where I've come from, the family that I've come from a very working class family. It's not that I grew up with nothing. Like I had a pretty good upbringing. Like my parents worked hard. I had a good upbringing. Always had like Xbox and a phone and all this kind of stuff. Like, we never. They might have been struggling. I didn't know. Even if they were struggling, I didn't necessarily know until later on. You know what I mean? So it's like a pretty good childhood. Other than faced a lot of racism when I was younger, like I said, growing up in a predominantly white area.
Yeah.
So there was that. But other than that, I had a pretty good childhood.
Yeah.
Like got a decent education, all that kind of stuff. I think boxing humbled me a lot. That definitely. I think sport in general, but boxing specifically, because especially as a boy, like I think I was a confident kid, but almost like it was fake confidence. I was quite arrogant because I was actually anxious and shy and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously then also getting not bullied, but racially harassed and stuff as a kid. Yeah. Like I remember one time, I've told this story to a couple of people, but I remember one time when I was like in primary school, and all these people that I've been friends with since nursery or whatever, and they all started like throwing stuff at me and trying to like hit me and all this kind of stuff. I can't remember why now. Probably because like I don't know, I took one of their girls or something like I don't know, there's some stupid stuff when you're kids, and then they were being racist and all that kind of like racist. We were taking a mick out of my hair. I remember I used to always gel my hair or cut my hair really short because I didn't want to wear my curly hair because I used to get bullied for it basically. Yeah. Not that I allowed myself to get bullied, because then when anyone tried bullying me, I'd punch them in the face. But so I was like that as a kid. Like I'm not. And obviously, when you come from like a strong Jamaican background, like we don't let things slide like that. You know what I mean? All my family are even the women in my family are quite masculine and like you can't mess with us kind of thing. Like,
oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Really do.
So I've come from that. So and like the way that we would express love to each other is we take the mick out of each other. We don't have to tell you we love her. We take the mick out of you, you're lanky, or you're this, you're that, you're fat, you're this, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I've come from that. But then when I started boxing, and someone like half your size kicks a crap out of you, you think, yo, this is. I thought I was a bad man, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and then someone else beats you're like, it just that humbles you quick, and you start to learn actually, like I've got a lot to learn here. Like I'm not as big and as bad as I thought I was, and so that grounded me a lot straight away. And then being around people like my boxing coach, for example, I look up to my boxing coach a lot. Brendan Warburton is called.
Yeah.
Because you don't amateur boxing. There's no money in amateur boxing.
Yes.
And Brendan spends all his time helping like the boxers, driving them here, taking them to this show, you know, working in the gym, working with the kids, working with schools, all this kind of stuff, and not earning any money from it. And I thought like there's people like out there like that will just. I think that humbles you a lot, that grounds you a lot, because it's like someone else is willing to give up all that time, money, effort for nothing in return. Like, and so when you've got role models like that, I think this is why I say like no one owes you anything. Yes. And I think that part of that as well is why I like to help other people as much and try and provide opportunities for other people, because I've had people in my life that have done it for me. So I think I'm fortunate in that regard. So I think that's what keeps me humble, like the role models that I've had and then the experiences that I've gone through as well.
Mm. So I mean, I usually ask this: what is the thing that you do to kind of make sure that you are mentally well?
You know, it's funny because you know, up until about, I remember in school when I was probably 16, and we'll speak about mental health, and.
You guys spoke about mental health in school?
Yeah. Because obviously I went to a health school. So
that's true.
We're speaking about health in health and social care, whatever it was. We're speaking about health. And I remember my teacher saying, like, we all go through, like, times where we feel depressed or sad. And I remember saying to her, Miss, I've never been sad. Like, I've never been, I'm just happy all the time. Like, and at that time, I probably didn't even realize, like I said, when I was a kid, I've been racially abused and harassed and all this kind of stuff and whatever. In the area that I grew up in. But genuinely, at that moment in time, I remember like not ever feeling unhappy. Like at that point, I never had my heart broken. I never really suffered for anything really.
Have you ever had your heart broken?
Yeah. We'll talk about, we might get onto that. But so I remember never being unhappy. And then I was saying to a kid the other day, I said, you know, after 18, like everything just goes downhill. Like, but when you become an adult, like, but I suppose that comes with the territory. Like, you're never gonna achieve greatness without going through the trenches. Like, that's true, you have to. And the people that do achieve, you know, all the things that they want to achieve and you know break that cycle that they're in. You kind of have to. The highs come with the lows, so you have to go through that, and you have to come through it, and you have to stay consistent. Whereas most people. They face adversity and then the first thing they do is they want to give up, they want to quit. And I always say, like, I mean, this isn't my quote, but if you never quit, then you can never fail. Yes. And so you just keep having to push through no matter how crap things feel now. Yeah. Eventually it won't feel crap. And there's that meme that goes around, what is it like? Tough times never last, only tough people last.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, you know. So it's just having that mindset of like, if you never quit, then you can never fail. Like you just have to keep pushing through. So I definitely have suffered from mental health a lot. Like there's been times where Andrew jokes around and says, "Oh, walking backwards down M1," which is a story. It's a case. It wasn't actually. I didn't walk backwards on the M1. I walked the right way down the A57. But it's a different story, anyways. That's a story for another time. Maybe we'll tell it. So yeah, like I've suffered from my mental health like loads in the last 3-4 years. But again, it's just I think. It's important, in order to come through that, it's important to have a goal to focus on. Yes. I think people, if you're lost and then you're struggling with your mental health, that's hard. Because it's like, what direction do I go in? Like I'm stuck in no man's land. There's bombs flying around. People are dying all around me. Like I don't know where the hell, I don't know where to go, what direction to go in. You know, there's smoke everywhere. I can't see. Because I think when you've got that clarity of like where you want to get to, where you're at, where you want to get to, And I think having people around you is important to guide you back to that path. Something that I say to my clients all the time is like, everybody knows that you need to go to the gym, you need to track your calories and eat well and eat protein. Like, that's not what, as an online fitness coach, that's not what I do. Like, I'm more so, I would say I'm a mathematician and a therapist. That's basically what I do. I crunch numbers for you so that you don't have to. And when you don't feel like doing shit, I'm there to guide you. And when you feel crap about things, I just guide you back to that path. And I think it's important to have people around you that are just guiding you back to that path all the time, because it's easy for something to knock you off it. Yes, and I think when you get knocked off that path and you struggle with mental health, it's very, very hard to find your way back. And especially if you haven't created the path as well. Some people don't even create the path. They're just kind of winging it through life. And obviously you have to be flexible, but you also have to have like a direction that you know you want to go down, and a plan somewhat that you can kind of refer back to when everything's up in the air.
I mean, do you have any particular people that you talk to pertaining to, you know, your mental well-being and stuff and what have you?
You know, probably the main person is Andrew. Like, which is funny because people laugh that me and Andrew are so close because he's 49, I'm 23. Of like, we're going out with each other. Like,
I remember last time saying, no, I'm not your father.
Because it tells, whenever we go anywhere, everyone says, oh, is this your kid? I'm like, it's not my dad. Like, this guy's not my dad. And then now I joke about it and I say, I'm his carer. I'm looking after him. Because he loves to say that, I'm his legal daddy. Like, shut up. But no, like, when I was, for example, when I was going through my breakup with my ex-girlfriend and stuff, like, and I was, you know what, funny enough, I was saying this the other day, or yesterday to somebody, like, out of everyone, all my friends, my age, family members, whatever. Obviously, your parents are always there for you, though. Yes. So outside of my parents, but even sometimes your parents don't see it. You know, it's right in front of them, but they don't see it because they're wrapped up in their own, you know, stress and work and whatever it is. Whereas like Andrew, a few days will go by, they don't speak to me. He'll always call me, check on me, see where I'm at. You know, invite me or come around, play chess, whatever it is like. And so I think. And again, just the barbershop in general, Andrew and Kevin, like whenever I was feeling down or just wanted to, you know, just escape reality for a bit, it's either I'm going to the boxing gym or I'm going to the barbershop. But there was a point where I broke my hand, so I couldn't box. Okay. So I couldn't really go to the boxing gym. Yeah. But then my boxing gym is literally round the corner from the barbers. So it's so that space, literally, my boxing gym it's in Old Shower Junior School. So
yes,
just the other side of Tesco. So literally that area there, that like little neighborhood, that's kind of like my safe space. Like boxing's like the box gym's like my second home. And then whenever I need advice, I want to chat to someone and it's just offload, I go to the barbershop. I think a lot of us experience that in the barbershop as well. Like you go there, it's kind of like being up for it. That's like the black place for therapy.
No, that's it. No, it's true. It's very true. It's very true.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of who I go to. Obviously now I've got more people around me. Yeah. Through networking, I've built relationships and all that kind of stuff with people. But those two places, I've said the boxing gym, because when I'm in there, I'm not thinking about anything else. Like when I'm in you're blowing out your ass because you're tired and you're working on the bike, like you ain't got time to think about your problems. You know what I mean? You're too tired. You're just thinking about holding your hands up. Yeah. Or I'll, like I said, I'll go to the barbershop.
Actually, it was the first question we ever asked guys at Faith was, which is gonna probably the last one I asked for you is, when is the last time you cried?
When was the last time I cried? You know something? As I've got older, I seem to cry more and more and more. Like, do you know the first time I ever cried, outside of being a kid? This is weird. I don't know why I'm saying this, but the first time I ever cried was at Spider-Man. You know when Gwen dies? Have you ever seen Spider-Man? Where she falls and he catches her with the web, but then she dies anyways from the snap. That was the first time I ever cried at a film. And ever since then, now I'll cry at everything. Like literally everything. And if I don't know, anything that's emotional, especially when it involves kids. Like I'm very soft towards kids. Like I can't wait to be a dad. Yeah, I'm very soft towards kids. Any movie where like a kid gets hurt or a kid even achieves something, whether it's tears of joy or whether it's a sad thing, I'll cry. Like I just cry. I just cry at everything. Yeah, literally. And I'm not afraid to cry either. I think it's just a normal thing. And especially, I think the confidence as well comes from like being a boxer or whatever, just being confident in myself. I just think even if you see me crying, you want to laugh, guess what? I'll still punch in your face. So what's always do you know what I mean? That's how I see it. I just think when you're confident in yourself like that, and like I said, it's not an arrogance thing, but it's just like I know that most people, they'll laugh at you, but if they get into a fight with you, you know what I mean? They're not the ones coming out on top. So that gives you a confidence as well to just be.
That's it.
And I think that's why I encourage a lot of people to get into like a martial art or boxing or anything. Just going to the gym, just feeling confident in yourself, because then you can. When someone laughs at you for just being human, you can look back at them and be like, "You're the problem here, not me."
It's true.
You know what I mean?
No, that's very, very true. So, where can we expect to see you? Let's say, no, who was it? Recently, somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm working on my 5-year plan or something or whatever you." Let me tell you, one time this friend of mine, actually, we were having breakfast near the Endcliff Park. There's a restaurant up at the side, Brocco something.
Brocco Bank or
yeah, that hotel there.
Yeah. Brocco on the park.
Yeah, on the park. And this friend. These friends of mine, we had breakfast there. And then I remember this guy, he's in Switzerland. He goes to Switzerland. He lives between Switzerland and here. He's like, so what's your 5-year plan? Dude, I'm like, 5-year plan? I don't even know my year plan, let alone a 5-year plan. And that basically, kind of set me on, I think, when he asked me, I was embarrassed. I was super embarrassed because most of the guys around the table are guys who've got their act together and they are doing well. Me, on the other hand, I'm just the guy who hangs on, who goes there for the banter and just to learn. Yeah. But that basically sort of kind of exposed quite a bit about us. I think more so as men that sometimes we do stuff, but we are not strategic around stuff. And so it's like listening to you. I'm hopeful. Actually, I'm thinking, well, if your generation is doing what you are doing, and I hope every young person or every one of your generation is as strategic. I was speaking to Jerome Slew. Yeah. Another strategic kid. I speak to, your generation seems to get you guys seem to have your act together somehow, at least strategically, or at least what we are saying. And I'm proud of these guys, you know what I mean? Because your guys seems to be doing okay. I don't know if you guys are facing the same struggles that my generation did, but you guys are, whatever it is that you guys are doing, I think you guys are going to be okay if you continue on that trajectory. I'm looking forward to seeing that big brand, that big thing. If there's anything that we can do on our side with our limited resources, factor us in,
No, and this is something that I think is super important because not everyone is like me or Jerome. Like I said, so we will go down to 6+1, for example.
Yeah, 6+1, yeah.
And like there's a lot of people in that group that are like the entrepreneur that are super ambitious. I think it depends where you're meeting people. So the spaces that you're in. Like for example, everyone in the boxing gym, for example, they all train hard, they're all disciplined. If you go to the pub, you're not going to find that. You find certain, you find different kinds of people in different spaces.
I know a guy who owns a pub though, but yeah.
But you go to find different people in different spaces, right? So I think that's part of it. But there is a lot of opportunity here. I see like, as I said, Sheffield, it's behind the other cities, but I just see that as an opportunity then. It means we've, if you're at rock bottom, then the only way is up. That's not necessarily that we are at rock bottom, but we've got that to strive for, that to aim for. The blueprint's there. We've just got to follow it. In terms of like 5-year plan, I don't really have a 5-year plan. I have goal. I pretty much set goals, and as long as it takes me to achieve that, it takes me to achieve it. I think it's good to put deadlines on certain goals that this should be done within this amount of time. But some things, you set 12-month goal, it takes 2 years, or you set whatever. That's true, and so it takes longer. But I think the main thing is to just tick the boxes every day.
Yeah.
And then whenever it happens, as long as you know, right, I need to do this every day. I need to go to the gym every day. I need to meet this person, talk to this person, send this many messages, go to this networking. As long as you're doing that every single day, you know you're progressing as quickly as you possibly can. Because I think some people, they think they should progress quicker than they should. And then when they don't, they get discouraged. It's like, don't focus on the long term too much. Have a vision there. I think it's important to have a long term vision, but just make sure that you're ticking the boxes each and every day.
That's true. Man, for me, it's been a pleasure, man. This has been awesome, man.
Yes, thank you.
You know, like sometimes, like, I wonder what we're gonna talk about, man. You know?
yeah.
But no, thank you. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you very much.
Thank
man.
you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we're done, man.
Thank you. It's been great.
I'm aware. I don't want to keep you far too long. We maybe have to go and pick the kids from school.
No kids yet.
No kids yet.
Hopefully soon, though.
Or even hopefully soon. I mean,
I don't want to be an old dad, you know.
Doesn't?
I want to be like, again, to be fair, talking about deadlines, like, I want to be done having kids at 35. I don't know. I want my life back. Like, I don't know having kids right into my 40s, and I'm like,
you're like what? You're 23 now.
23 now.
23.
Like, I wanted to already have started having kids. Unfortunately, there's no one there to have kids with. But I wanted to already start having kids. I hope I have my first kid by 25. I hope.
Well, so
if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I hope so.
So if there's like some young lady there basically watching this, I mean, you see how beautiful he is, you know? He's a beautiful boy, you know?
Thank you.
So I'm sure. But that's the thing. But your guys, I think your generation is you're very particular about what it is that you guys want. Generally, everything is so... Because like sometimes I watch my boys and I'm like, well... There's all these young ladies around and you guys can't even pick one. What's going on?
No, I'm like that though. I am very particular about whom. But I think that's because of who I am as a person as well. Like, again, I don't want to sound arrogant, but how many 23-year-olds you know that are like me? Probably not that many. So that now, like, the kind of person that you are, I think the more, like, I challenge myself a lot, and it's hard to meet someone that wants to challenge themselves the same way. And so there's a lot of conflict. You know, I want to sit and work. They want to sit and watch TV, like all that kind of. They want to go on holiday. I want to invest in this thing, or you know what it is. So that makes it difficult. Then I suppose my type as well. I have a very specific type. Yeah, I have a very specific type. That's part of it. It's like my type. Andrew makes me laugh. He's like, you know, but he knows my type because Kevin will suggest like, oh, you don't know about that girl. And I'm like, no, not my type. Andrew knows it's not my type. Like my type is literally tall, Jamaican, slim. That's my, like, I don't really go outside of that. Any girl that I go with, tall, Jamaican, slim. They don't necessarily have to be Jamaican. But obviously I like black girls, and I think growing up in a Jamaican family, I couldn't see myself with anyone that's not Jamaican. Do you know what I mean? It's not, I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't. If I met someone and they you know, got on and they weren't Jamaican, then I wouldn't. It's not a non-negotiable. But that's kind of what I go for, and I don't know. I've not met them yet. So,
you sound like my son. My youngest one is like, he's like, I want to have black babies. That's how you say it. They say, I'm like, where does that come from? Considering that, you know, like in his school and stuff. I mean, I know it was a multicultural school. But it's like, I would like to have black babies. I'm like, okay, I like that.
For me, two things. One, it's like my family's just becoming whiter and whiter because all the mixed race people are just getting white people, then they're just getting more and more whiter. That's one thing, but that's not the main thing. I think the main thing for me is because I've dated white girls, dated Asian girls, dated black girls, and the relationships are always the best with the black girls. And I think that's just cultural things, like, you know, you must look a pat upon them and they don't understand what you're talking about, and then or whatever. Like, it's just little things that just annoy you. You know what I mean? Or like, even like the privilege side. For example, I don't think I could be with a privileged black girl either. Because it, again, different. Like, I haven't come from privilege myself, so even that is like culturally, it's different. You know what I mean? They've grown up big house, nice cars, whatever. I'm growing up with that, and so you have conflicts even there. I think it's important to, for me, I'd want to be with someone who's from the same background as me, because I think you get on the most and you understand each other's needs and wants and goals the most. You know what I mean? So that's important to me.
Okay, that's why exactly, you know, like we say you're an old soul, because it's like I've never, you know, like well, except my youngest, who was 19. He's deep also. He like that deep soul. I don't know where it comes from, but I understand, like why you'll hang around with Andrew. And
yeah.
As long as you don't get in any of his extracurricular activities.
To be fair, no, but he's settling down now.
I know. He's trying so hard.
Yeah.
Man. He's trying.
He's doing good now. He's quit smoking. He's all that. Like he's training. He's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because last time actually I sat down with him. To be honest, I always enjoy kind of hanging around with I'm in their family anyway, so it's like it's always a pleasure to hang around with them. And also like Dave, we're talking about Dave Campbell. I think Dave is like one of the great minds, because it's like every time you hang around with Dave Campbell, it's like, and I mean both of them, but business Dave is like, he always has this anecdotes about life and stuff and some of the experience he's been through. I think, let me tell you, if he wrote a book,
you know what will work? Because he mentioned this, and I said, you know what, Dave, you should have a documentary.
That would be awesome.
And so we're actually working on this at the minute now, where we're making the plans for it.
Yeah.
Me and another guy, Marne, where he's a videographer, so he's going to video it, do all the sound, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and then we're going to put the plans together to film a documentary for Dave. Because the reason I want to do that as well is, again, going back to like the background that we come from, and it's important that the kids of Burngreave, Pixmore, Sharrow, wherever they're from, can see that someone from their background has made it and created this life for themselves without being a rapper or a footballer or whatever it is. Because that's or a drug dealer, or whatever it is. Because that's the nearest role models that they have. Yeah. And if you don't see it, like Dave made his fortune or whatever, selling cleaning chemicals. Like who grows up thinking I'm going to sell cleaning chemicals?
Especially in our community.
No one thinks of that. And you notice that a lot with like, I go to different networking events and people have big successful businesses and are millionaires, and you ask them what they do, and like they're in like waste management, like boring stuff that you wouldn't even think of. Everyone wants to be an influencer or a role model or a rapper or whatever it is. Which I think if that's what you want to be, strive for that. And I think
we like glamour.
Yeah. Like everyone wants to be sexy.
That's it.
Everyone wants to be sexy, but there's a lot of unsexy businesses that can change your life.
There's a guy. What's his name? He's a musician. I forget the kid's name. American kid. One of the things says, what his biggest business. He has like a washing car wash.
Oh yeah. Oh Rick Ross.
Not Rick Ross.
Wait, I know he did that as well, I think.
This is an R&B singer. I think he wasn't in the Masked Singer.
I'm not sure.
I'll remember his name when I'm out there. I'm like, I remember the guy. But he says, what they did, he did like, they have an app for his car wash, they have an app. So it's like, people pay a subscription for the car wash. So whether their cars get washed or not, you get some money coming in.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, this is awesome.
But you don't know about like things like that. It's like, I know Chris Brown once said like light switches. So it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like stupid things like that you won't even think of.
Yes.
But unless you're in rooms with those kind of people and you're having conversations, you don't even know it's possible. And so part of the documentary was to show like Dave's journey, who he is, where he's come from, what he's achieved, so that the people of Burngreave, where he's from, and Pixmore, and just Sheffield in general, can see like, wow, we've got someone in our city. Because there's a lot of money in Sheffield. There's a lot of people with big businesses and they're successful. Nobody knows who they are.
Yes.
It's very underground. So part of like what I'm trying to change is people need to see who those people are. Because otherwise, who's inspiring the next generation of those people?
That's exactly it. Before, actually, prior to the lockdown, I had like a list of guys I was going to interview, but the idea was like life after work. Because for me, I've always been fascinated about what people do after they've stopped work. That whole idea. And literally, I was going to call it life after work. And it was like just interviewing those who have been through the trenches and done well. And I know people. There's a good friend of ours who used to work for the Times, and he was kind of dealing with money. But he gives stories about going to different establishments in London and stuff. Now what he does is like movies. You know, when they are doing movies, they call him to do like some, when they are English, put it in Welsh and stuff, you know, to interpret and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and he's in his 80s. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's fascinating what people can do after they finish. Because sometimes they look like, sometimes, retired people seem to be busier than ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if anyone actually ever did like a documentary around, life after work, I think it informs people like yourself who are still on the journey trying to get there, just to see like the resilience, the drive, all that kind of stuff. Because like you look at Instagram or whatever, we see the end product, or we are shown the end product. Nobody shows you what's underneath the table. You see what I'm saying? So
that's what I try and do with my content. I try and show the good, bad, and the ugly. Do you know what I mean? As much as I can, because like I said, that's what people relate to. They don't relate to when you're up here, because most people are not up here. They're down here. So you need to be able to rate someone that level.
Yeah.
In order to help them get to that level, it's very important to do that. Like I said, the documentary, putting out the content, doing things like this, having conversations, networking, all that is super, super important, which I don't think we've done enough. With Sheffield, very inconsistent with things like that. Things start and then they stop and they start and they stop. I'm kind of trying to be the catalyst to be like, no, let's like get stuff done. Because one thing that really annoys me about some people as well is like, if we have an idea today, I'll start working on it today.
Yes.
Like I want to be on it like straight away. Like why will leave? It's like, I think in fact you said it in your, I think it was in the podcast with Dave. I think you said, why leave for tomorrow what you can do today? Why, like literally, why are we waiting till tomorrow? We can do it now.
Because there's no guarantee that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can do it now. Let's start working on it now. Like I hate when I speak to people. Like, oh yeah, we'll set a meeting for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Why are we not speaking tomorrow?
That's it.
And I like they're too busy, but they'll sit and scroll on Instagram and post stupid stuff.
That's it. And besides, I think my ADHD doesn't allow me. I get anxious if you say let's do it next week. I'm like,
no, it needs to be done now.
Yeah, let's do it and get it out of the way. You know what I'm saying?
Literally,
then you
I'm
don't.
the same.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm like.
You literally.
Yeah,
same,
you know what I'm saying.
Same.
So yeah.
Yeah, I get super, super anxious. Like,
yeah.
If I have got even it's weird, because obviously we have to sleep.
That's it.
But before bed, if I'm in my bed, it'll be midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3. I've worked all day as much as I can. I'll be like full with anxiety because I've not. Like I can't do more like this. Like it's like the fact that I've got to wait to go to sleep to wake up to do it tomorrow.
Let me tell you,
I'm like, I wish I could just stay awake the whole week and just.
Let me tell you, I have struggled with that for years. You know what I mean? And to be honest, it's like there was a time. I mean, my message will tell you that I used to change beds so often because I thought there was something wrong with the bed. Because I couldn't sleep. I can't rest. My mind is constantly firing to a point that you're thinking. Now what I've taken to doing is like journaling. So it's like I am writing incessantly because of that very thing. Because if you have an idea, just follow it through and just walk it through and put it down. And then down the line, as long as it's down.
Yeah.
Because like also, my mind will be like on the next thing, quickly and stuff.
A million ideas a day.
That's the thing. So you have to kind of make sure that you document that, you journal that thing. And then even if it's a small idea, you can pick it up at some point.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying, like why I'm working on this book idea is because of that.
Yeah.
The process, like how to get things done for people like us whose mind is all over the place, you know what I'm saying? But thank you very much, man.
Yes, it's been great. Go on.
So we are going to be voting for you to be the next president, prime minister.
Well, I don't know about. Do you know what's funny?
Yeah.
I actually said before, after all said and done, I'd want to get into politics, but I don't know. But we'll see.
You should.
We'll see.
No, I think you should.
And I think we definitely need change, and I think we need more politicians that are entrepreneurial and come from the backgrounds we come from versus these privileged, overeducated guys that know a lot about a little, and you know what I mean? Like you need people that are in touch with the actual, You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you're the first person who I have had basically articulate what's on my mind. Let me tell you, I've spoken to the guys who are older, like some of the guys who've been in Sheffield for a while. And I'm like, how come you guys didn't find yourself around the proverbial table? And they're like, oh, well, we were doing some grassroots work. I'm like, but that doesn't really, it doesn't help us.
There was a quote it's in Game of Thrones. You seen Game of Thrones?
Oh, yeah.
And it's when Daenerys says, I'm not trying to change the wheel, I'm trying to break the wheel.
That's it.
I love that. Because that's what needs to happen. Yeah. The wheel needs to break. The wheel is not, it doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
And you listen to Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer and all those people, the way they talk, they're not in touch with what's going on in the country. They don't have a Scooby-Doo. And so we need people that know what's going on to inspire. We need like your Martin Luther King and all this kind of, you need them kind of people to change. Like you have to break the wheel at some point.
No, for real. So I'm gonna be at the side cheering.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today.
Cheering, man.
Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and never miss an episode. Until next time, keep those conversations going and the clippers buzzing.